Hey warrior, listen. You don't feel poor just because your wallet is empty. You feel poor because the world has trained you to think like a slave. Niccolo Machiavelli warned that poverty isn't just about money. It's about power. And the harsh truth is this: the world doesn't pity the powerless. It feeds on them. Every time you beg for sympathy, you're not asking for help. You're broadcasting to everyone that you can be influenced, controlled, and owned. You were raised to fear scarcity. They told you to stay humble, stay quiet, and be grateful for scraps. They told you to pray for a better life instead of building one. While you were waiting, hoping, posting quotes, and dreaming of someday, the powerful were already moving in silence, taking everything you thought you were meant to receive. That's how they break you. Not with chains, but with obedience. Not by taking your money, but by taking your mind. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so subject to present necessities that he who deceives will always find someone who will let himself be deceived." When your sense of reality depends on other people's approval, on their validation, on their permission, you're already conquered. Once you decide that poverty is permanent, it becomes your religion. You worship your limitations. You pray to your fears. You defend your excuses. But here's what no one ever told you: you can be broke and still be powerful. You can be surrounded by scarcity and still move like a king. Because kings are not defined by gold. They are defined by control. The real battle is not about your bank balance. It's about dominance over three things: your emotions, your time, and your energy. The man who controls those three controls everything. So from today, stop saying, "I'm broke." Start saying, "I'm building." Stop saying, "I have nothing." Start saying, "I need nothing." When you stop seeing yourself as a victim, the world stops treating you like one. This isn't some motivational poster. This is war. And this video is about turning your mind into a weapon so sharp that even when the world calls you poor, you think and move like power. If you're still with me, drop this in the comments right now. My mind is my wealth. Now let's get into lesson number 1. 1. Poverty is a mind virus. You're not poor because you own nothing. You're poor because you've been programmed to think small, taught to kneel mentally long before life ever pushed you down. Poverty starts as an infection in the mind. A virus. It rewires your thinking so that you obey, settle, and accept mediocrity as destiny. The world doesn't need chains if your thoughts are already shackled. Society calls it humility, but most of the time it's really psychological submission. The quiet belief that you were born to serve instead of command. This belief spreads into everything. Into your habits, your words, your posture. You start apologizing for wanting more. You feel guilty for having ambition. You call your dreams unrealistic, so you don't have to admit you're afraid of chasing them. The curse of the poor man isn't his lack of resources. It's his worship of limits. He looks at powerful people and convinces himself they're evil, not because they all are, but because deep down he's terrified he'll never be powerful himself. That fear becomes his ruler. That fear signs his decisions. That fear decides what he thinks he deserves. Machiavelli once said, "He who becomes a master of a city accustomed to freedom and does not destroy it, will be destroyed by it." Apply that to your inner world. If you don't destroy the weak thoughts that rule you, those thoughts will destroy your potential. Every time you tell yourself, "I can't," you strengthen the virus. Every time you envy, instead of strategizing, you feed it. Every time you wait for rescue, you kneel a little lower. You hand over the throne in your mind to doubt, to comfort, to fear. And the system loves this. It thrives on weak men who obey without questioning. It wants obedient workers, not powerful thinkers. It rewards compliance and quietly punishes rebellion. The moment you ask, "Why am I living like a servant?" they label you arrogant, toxic, problematic. But arrogance isn't your enemy. It's often your first spark of self-respect. The mind that refuses to bow is the mind that begins to rule. Dark psychology teaches us that control always begins with perception. If you see yourself as less, the world will treat you as less. If you think small, you'll attract people who keep you small. You project poverty long before you ever experience it. Your energy tells people whether they can dominate you. That's why some people can lose everything and still rise again. Their minds never learned submission. But others can win the lottery and still think like victims. They burn through wealth trying to look rich instead of becoming powerful. Because it was never about money. It was always about mindset. When your brain is programmed to depend, to wait, to need, you will always bow before those who seem stronger. That's why the first step to power is to break that program. Stop seeking rescue. Stop believing someone is coming to save you. No one is coming, and that's your advantage. Because once you accept that, you become unstoppable. You stop asking for permission to rise. You start moving with quiet purpose, and the world begins to shift around you. Every time you choose discipline over distraction, you reclaim another piece of your mind. Every time you reject self-pity, you silence the virus. Poverty doesn't live in your bank account. It lives in your thoughts, and only you can burn it out. You must start seeing yourself as dangerous, capable, unbreakable, because the mind that refuses to kneel can never be owned. Say it again in the comments. My mind bows to no one. 2. Power is a performance. The world doesn't reward truth. It rewards dominance. Most people never realize this because they're addicted to looking honest instead of looking strong. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He wrote that appearances rule perception, and perception rules power. When you look weak, you invite predators. When you act helpless, you signal permission to be controlled. People are not kind, they're calculating. They're always reading you your tone, your posture, your eyes looking for cracks, for hesitation, for signs of fear. And the moment they sense it, they strike. That's why power is a performance. You must play strength until it becomes real. Train your face to show certainty even when your heart is shaking. The powerful act unshaken because they understand one brutal truth. The world cannot tell the difference between confidence and reality. If you look untouchable, you become untouchable. Machiavelli wrote, "Everyone sees what you appear to be. Few experience what you really are." He knew that most men live by appearances, and illusion often outweighs truth. This is dark psychology, the art of shaping perception to control outcomes. The average man reveals his wounds, his pain, his fears. The superior man hides them like secrets. Even in chaos, he stands still while others panic. That calmness terrifies people because it breaks their illusion of control. Never look defeated, even when you're bleeding. That's not lying, that's strategy. You wear confidence like armor, so your enemies waste their energy attacking your surface while you quietly rebuild behind it. The moment you look helpless, the world stops respecting you. Respect isn't given to the vulnerable. It's given to the man who makes others doubt his limits. And that doubt, that uncertainty is your weapon. In a room full of talkers, be the one who watches. When chaos erupts, speak last. Move slowly. Hold your gaze. The man who stays composed controls the tempo. Weakness isn't just physical. It's visible in emotion, reaction, and tone. If your face reveals panic, You lose before the fight begins. Confidence is camouflage. It hides your insecurity and blinds your rivals. Use it with precision. Let people assume you know more than you do. Let them believe you have allies they can't see. Let them overestimate your strength. It's better than being underestimated. The world worships image more than truth. That's why kings still wear crowns, even when their kingdoms crumble. They understand that power lives in the performance of authority. You must build that same presence even when your pockets are empty. Stand tall, speak less, control your body language. You don't need luxury to command attention. You need composure. That's what separates those who lead from those who follow. Every look, every gesture, every pause, it's all part of your act. You're not pretending to be powerful. You're conditioning others to treat you as powerful. And once they do, you start believing it too. That belief rewires your destiny. The poor act small because they think small. The powerful act grand because they refuse to be anything less. Never look helpless again, because the moment you do, the world will prove you right. Now say it again. I perform power flawlessly. 3. The poor man's trap. The greatest kind of poverty isn't about money. It's emotional dependence. Most people aren't chasing success. They're chasing approval. They want to be seen, understood, accepted. And that's the poor man's trap. It looks harmless. It even feels good. But it drains your strength faster than hunger ever could. Because the moment you need others to validate your worth, you hand them control over your identity. Machiavelli understood this centuries ago when he said, "It is much safer to be feared than loved, if one must choose." Why? Because love depends on others, but fear you can create yourself. Validation is a leash disguised as comfort. The more you seek it, the tighter it wraps around your neck. When you crave attention, you announce to the world that your emotions are for sale, and the world loves a good buyer. It gives you crumbs of approval and takes your entire peace of mind. The weak talk too much. They explain their motives, defend their pain, beg to be understood. But the powerful, they understand that silence cuts deeper than words. Silence makes people guess, and guessing makes them uneasy. And unease, my friend, is respect. The poor man confuses noise for strength. He believes that if he keeps talking, people will finally believe him. But every extra word is a confession of insecurity. You can always recognize weakness. It seeks understanding. Strength doesn't. Strength doesn't explain. Strength doesn't announce itself. The lion doesn't justify its roar. The world already knows what it means. That's how you must operate. Every time you beg to be seen, you lower your value. Every time you explain your pain, you surrender leverage. The poor crave attention because it's the only currency they think they have left. But the rich in spirit, the truly powerful, use mystery as power. They don't show their suffering. They weaponize it. They walk into rooms like they owe nothing to anyone. That's dominance. Dark psychology teaches that people only value what they can't fully read. If they can predict you, they can control you. If they can emotionally decode you, they can manipulate you. The antidote is restraint. Learn to let your silence do the speaking. Watch what happens when you stop explaining yourself. The room changes. People become cautious. They start respecting you, not because you demanded it, but because your lack of reaction unsettles them. People fear what they can't decode. And that's where your power hides, in being unreadable. The poor man chases recognition. The powerful man chases control. Stop chasing validation like a starving child chasing light. You don't need anyone's permission to be powerful. You don't need applause to know your worth. Let them misunderstand you. It's a small price for dominance. Validation is an addiction. It gives you a rush, then it enslaves you quietly. Every like, every compliment, every nod becomes another chain. Break it. Walk away. Be willing to be misunderstood, even hated, because true independence demands that price. Weak men are terrified of being disliked. Strong men understand that real influence always creates enemies. You can't have power and universal approval at the same time. So choose. Choose respect over affection. Choose mystery over exposure. Choose command over comfort. Stop explaining, stop defending, just exist with quiet authority. That's how kings move. The moment you stop begging to be understood, you start being obeyed. Say it now in the comments. My silence speaks power. 4. Think like a king. A man with nothing to lose is dangerous. But a man who acts like he's already won, he's untouchable. The psychology of kingship doesn't begin with possessions, it begins with perception. The poor man waits for abundance before he feels worthy. The powerful man uses scarcity as fuel. Machiavelli once said, "The first method for estimating the intelligence of a ruler is to look at the men he has around him." Kings understand that the quality of their circle mirrors the quality of their mind. That means even when you have nothing, you must act as though your time and presence are gold. When you move like a king, people begin to treat you like one. Every gesture, every pause, every silence must communicate authority. The world believes what you project. If you project control, it will obey. If you project desperation, it will consume you. Even in poverty, carry yourself with composure. Keep your tone steady, your eyes cold, your emotions locked behind discipline. Those are weapons no one can take from you. The man who commands himself commands his destiny. Thinking like a king means refusing to participate in chaos. It means standing still while others scramble. You don't react, you respond. You don't chase validation, you let your presence speak for itself. When you walk into a room, you measure it silently, not with arrogance, but with precision. Kings don't rush, because speed belongs to the desperate. They move slow, not because they lack urgency, but because they trust their dominance. This is dark psychology in its purest form. Control perception, and you control outcome. Every word you speak must sound intentional. Every decision must look final. People respect confidence that doesn't need proof. You must become that presence, the kind that doesn't need to prove power because power vibrates through restraint. The illusion of certainty is often more valuable than the reality of wealth. Poor minds reveal stress. Royal minds reveal nothing. Kings understand that emotions are currency, and wasting them publicly is like burning gold. Even when you have nothing, you can still rule through composure. Control your body language, your tone, your narrative. Even your silence can command a room, if it's backed by conviction. Weak men think they need things to gain status. Strong men know status is energy. It's how you sit, how you speak, how you breathe. Control those, and you can lose everything yet still look like the one who decides. That illusion intimidates everyone who's secretly fragile. People serve confidence because it gives them something to believe in. They'd rather follow a calm liar than a panicked truth-teller. That's human nature, and Machiavelli mastered it. He understood that leadership is theater, and every man is performing. You must play your role so completely that even your reflection starts to believe it. When you act like a king long enough, the world adjusts to your belief. It's not pretending, it's programming your subconscious to command rather than comply. Never look defeated, even when surrounded by loss. Never lower your voice, even when uncertain. Once you act powerless, you will be treated as powerless. Royalty isn't about crowns, it's about control. Think, breathe, and move like power itself. Because kings aren't born, they are declared. Declare it now. I move like a king. 5. Detachment makes you dangerous. The man who needs nothing controls everything. That single truth terrifies the world because society is built on dependency. Every advertisement, every relationship, every system is designed to make you crave, to make you need, to make you attach. But the moment you stop needing approval, comfort, or certainty, you become untouchable. Machiavelli once said, "Men are driven by two principal impulses, either by love or by fear." The detached man is feared because he cannot be seduced by either. When you no longer hunger for validation, no one can lure you. When you stop needing affection, no one can break you. When you stop chasing money, people start offering it to earn your attention. Detachment is not coldness, it's control. It's the art of mastering desire so it doesn't master you. Weak men worship what they lack. Strong men observe what they want and decide strategically if it's worth their energy. Detachment is what separates desperation from dominance. It makes your presence heavier, your decisions sharper, your aura unpredictable. And unpredictability is pure power. People fear what they can't predict because it makes them feel powerless. That's why the man who stays calm while others panic becomes the center of gravity in every room. He doesn't react, he calculates. He doesn't beg, he chooses. His silence makes others talk. His stillness makes others nervous. His composure becomes their insecurity. This is dark psychology at its highest level. The less you show need, the more control you have over those who do. When you detach, you stop serving other people's expectations. You stop being manipulated by the fear of loss. You stop reacting to insults, delays, betrayals, or praise. You become emotionally self-contained, and that makes you unpredictable. The world can't play games with someone who refuses to participate. The poor man clings to everything, to people, to money, to opinions. His identity depends on external things. The powerful man can walk away from anything and remain himself. That's real strength. The kind that doesn't shout, but terrifies quietly. Detachment is a declaration that nothing owns you. Not success, not failure, not even love. That isn't heartlessness, it's emotional strategy. Machiavelli would call it power through independence. The ability to rule yourself so completely that no one else ever can. You can love deeply, but never need deeply. You can care, but never depend. That difference separates kings from captives. The detached mind doesn't rush, doesn't chase, doesn't prove. It lets others exhaust themselves trying to impress or understand, while it quietly observes everything, collecting data, calculating the perfect moment to strike. That's control moving when you choose, not when provoked. Detach from outcomes because obsession blinds judgment. Detachment sharpens it. When you stop needing success immediately, you make better decisions. When you stop fearing loss, you stop losing power. Detachment makes you silent when others panic. It makes you mysterious when others overshare. It turns pain into clarity and rejection into focus. It's not emotionless, it's selective emotion. The world can't trap a man who refuses to be owned by desire. Once you reach that level, people begin to chase your attention because your indifference makes them feel small. That's dominance. Detachment doesn't kill connection. It defines it. It teaches others that your time, your energy, and your peace are luxuries, not entitlements. The man who can walk away from everything is the man no one dares to play with. Say it in the comments. Nothing owns me. 6. Turn pain into power. Pain is not your enemy, it's your initiation. Every wound you've endured, Every betrayal you've survived, every loss you've buried was training. Life has been shaping you to evolve beyond emotion into calculation. Machiavelli once said, "Never waste the opportunity offered by a good crisis." He understood that suffering isn't something to survive, it's something to use. The weak collapse under pain because they see it as punishment. The strong rise through it because they see it as data. Every time you get hurt, you're handed information about people, about your limits, about yourself. Pain is clarity. It strips illusions and shows you who's real, what's true, and what must end. Most people run from pain because they can't face truth without comfort. But the man who learns to endure pain without losing composure becomes unstoppable. Pain exposes weakness, but it also reveals strength. The difference between slaves and strategists lies in how they process suffering. The slave complains. The strategist analyzes. He studies the betrayal, identifies the pattern, and strengthens his defenses. He doesn't drown in heartbreak. He converts it into armor. Every insult becomes a lesson in human behavior. Every humiliation becomes a reminder of what he'll never allow again. That's Machiavellian transformation, turning suffering into dominance. Emotional wounds are like blades. In weak hands, they cut deeper. In strong hands, they forge weapons. Pain can poison you or prepare you, depending on how you interpret it. The weak attach emotion to pain and call it tragedy. The powerful detach from emotion and call it training. Pain is the only teacher that never lies. Success flatters. Comfort dulls. Pain corrects. Learn to suffer consciously. Observe your emotions without letting them dictate your actions. Let pain burn away illusion, but never your purpose. When people hurt you, don't seek revenge instantly. Let time sharpen you. Every scar is proof that you survived what was meant to break you. That's not a curse, it's privilege. The most dangerous man is the one who can smile while bleeding, because no one can predict him. Pain transforms him into something beyond ordinary. It gives him patience, precision, and power. The world expects pain to humble you. Instead, let it harden you. Let rejection strengthen your boundaries. Let betrayal sharpen your instincts. Let loss build your focus. Every struggle can be recycled into dominance if you stay aware. Machiavelli believed pain reveals the soul of leadership. It separates the emotional from the strategic. Leaders endure not because they don't feel, but because they convert feeling into control. Every time life strikes you, don't collapse, catalog it, learn, and evolve. Pain doesn't destroy you unless you identify with it. You are not your wounds. You are the weapon they built. When you learn to love pressure, discomfort, and solitude, you realize pain is privilege, because only those destined to lead are tested so severely. Remember this: the fire that melts glass hardens steel. You decide which one you are. Say it with me: my pain builds power. Rule yourself. He who cannot control himself will always be ruled by someone who can. Machiavelli revealed the sharpest truth about power. Real control begins within. Every man who fails to master his impulses becomes a servant to those who can exploit them. Discipline isn't punishment. It's dominance. It's the ability to govern your emotions, words, and reactions so precisely that nothing external can steer you. The weak man is easily provoked, distracted, and tempted. His strings are visible for anyone to pull. The strong man delays gratification, calculates before reacting, and never lets emotion dictate his movement. That's freedom, the ability to stay calm while others collapse. Machiavelli wrote, "A prince must learn how not to be good, and use this knowledge or not according to necessity." He wasn't praising cruelty, he was teaching mastery. Self-command gives you the power to adapt without losing yourself. It means knowing when to strike, when to wait, and when to stay silent. Most men destroy their potential because they can't sit still. They chase distractions, argue to prove points that don't matter, and react to every insult. The ruler within understands that patience is disguised dominance. The man who can pause owns the moment. Discipline is the highest currency of power. Money fades, allies betray, but self-control endures. The man who conquers his chaos becomes the one others follow in theirs. When you can direct your focus like a blade, the world moves to your rhythm. Dark psychology teaches that people unconsciously submit to whoever appears more composed. When your emotions stay still while theirs unravel, they instinctively yield. That's psychological dominance, the quiet authority that commands without effort. Self-discipline isn't suppression. It's weaponized restraint. It allows you to choose strategy over impulse, clarity over chaos. When you master your emotions, manipulation loses its hold. You stop chasing validation because you know it's just another leash. Control yourself, and you control your destiny. Every empire falls from within before it's conquered from outside. The same is true for men. You lose the moment you surrender your will to impulse. Be calm when provoked, focused when surrounded by noise, steady when others tremble. That's the mark of power. Never think you're poor, even when you have nothing. Poverty isn't a condition, it's a mindset. The man who controls himself is richer than kings who depend on approval. Machiavelli taught that fortune favors the prepared mind, the one that acts without begging, adapts without fear, and rises without applause. You can lose everything, but if you refuse to lose control, you'll rebuild stronger than before. The poor man waits for miracles. The powerful man becomes his own. Life will test you, strip you, betray you, expose you. And when it does, remember, kings aren't born in comfort. They're forged in chaos. Every scar is proof that you endured where others surrendered. You don't need luck or validation. You need control, strategy, and ruthless consistency. So stop saying you're broke. Stop saying you're trapped. You are neither. You are power unrefined, unstoppable, waiting to be shaped. Say it one last time. I own my fate.